Hello, and welcome to Angry Andy Reviews, and this is my review for episode 8 of The Last of Us. So, we are one episode away from the finale. Bloody hell, it's come around already. Don't mind the cat, she's fast asleep, she's got no vested interest in this whatsoever. So yeah, we are coming screaming to the finale episode. And forgive me if I don't take a second pause and think, Christ, have we built up enough to what's to come? And obviously, I will discuss that in the season finale review next week. But for this episode, we are still dealing with the aftermath of Joel being attacked and stabbed. Ellie is still scrambling. She goes out looking for food. Spoilers, of course, in this episode, this review rather. She goes out searching for food and she comes across a deer. She shoots the deer, stag rather, and following the trail of the blood, she comes across two geezers. And these two geezers are, they say they're from this town, and basically she says, well, you can have a bit of the stag if you want, but you're gonna have to give me some fucking medicine, some penicillin. They agree, and of course, not everything is as it seems. Earlier in the episode, we see that this community where these two people are from. One of them is a preacher. One of them is the lovely Troy Baker. I think it's Troy Baker, isn't it? Who played Joel in the video game. The voice he plays, this sort of counterpart, this close ally of this preacher, and everything's not going well. There's frustration and anger at the death of someone, who we later find out is the person that Joel killed, I believe, when he was stabbed. And there is a common sense that they're running out of food, so the seeds are planted there. Go back to where we were, and Troy Baker's character returns with some penicillin, but not before the preacher basically uncovers everything about Joel and Ellie, being together and being these people who did cause the death of one of their own. And Ellie's caught off guard. She flees the area, leaving behind the stag, but taking the medicine with her. When she gets back to Joel, she essentially injects him. A day passes, she gives him another dose, but at the same time, she's made aware that this group are thereabouts. They're coming for her and Joel, and basically she pleads with Joel to wake up, tells him he has to defend himself while she tries to lead these guys away. And she does so on horseback, and you can see immediately what's coming. The horse gets taken out by Troy Baker's character, and Ellie is left completely, knocked out. She's taken back, but prior to this, this group of guys they want to kill her. They want to do her in, and the preacher basically says, "No, we're going to take her back, and we'll go from there." But he allows them to pass judgment on Joel. So three random geezers, scour the rest of the village where Joel and Ellie have been holding up. We go back to the town where this preacher man is from, and Ellie's obviously locked in a cage at this point. She's a bit beside herself. She doesn't know what's going on. The preacher comes in and says, "Look, you can be one of us. You can join the community and all this and all that. Yada yada yada." She refuses. He comes back a bit later on, but before he does come back, she sees an ear underneath the fucking table in this fucking room, and things start coming into start connecting together. We see things throughout this episode, this whole cultist ideology, this whole behavior, this weird behavior. It's all religious orientated, and it's desperation has taken hold with this community. Not all of them know, but the preacher man and obviously his close followers have all decided to basically bring in people to eat, and eat their own if they're dead. young girl earlier on in the episode asks if they can bury her father, and they say, well, no, we can't because the ground's hard. We'll do it in the spring. It's probably because there's nothing left to bury, to be quite honest. So it plays around with that. Obviously, Ellie is horrified by this, and eventually she fights back in brutal fashion. She fights back, she kills Troy Baker, stabbing him in the neck with a meat cleaver. Hilarious. And then she has a showdown with the preacher himself. While all this is going on, obviously, Joel finally manages to come to. It's been 2 episodes. He finally manages to come to, and he brutalizes these 3 men. The first one he dispatches, finds the cellar where Joel is in. He dispatches him, stabs him in the back of the neck, and watches as he slowly dies. Quite horrific. Second and the third, he catches them off guard and tortures them. The first one, he basically tortures them individually in the same room. The third guy is mentally tortured in a way. The second guy, Joe stabs him in the knee and says, basically, you're going to tell me where your town is, where they've taken Ellie, or else I'm going to pop your kneecap off. The guy points, Joel puts the knife in his mouth and he points on this map, and Joel kills him anyway. But he basically, Joel tells the guy, look, if you don't, you tell me where it is, and then he's going to tell me where it is. And if you're both wrong, I'm just going to kill you both. So the first guy is, he's like, oh, this is where it is, I swear. So Joel kills him. And then the other guy's like, what are you doing? I'm not going to tell you shit. And he goes, it's okay, I believe the other guy. And then smashes him over the head. It's pure brutalization. But this is what we've seen of Joel. This is like the depths that he's willing to go, the lengths he's willing to go. The violent nature of him, how far he's fallen as a person and is still trying to claw back those little bits of humanity within himself. But the world has created him as being this monster. But obviously we see both sides of Joel in this episode. So he rushes to the town, and obviously Ellie beats this preacher man in brutal fashion. There's weird sort of tones towards a sort of sexually controlling nature from the preacher. Some of the things he says, which I don't believe was in the game. I can't really remember. Like I said, I don't really have too much memory of this, but it's disturbing. It's depraved in the most extreme most extreme manner that you can think of. And this show pushes it even further. From what I have seen, this whole episode, by and large, is almost shot for shot of the game itself in terms of the setting, the way it's played out, the character beats moments, obviously, apart from the sort of sexual controlling and cultist behaviour within that. It all plays out roughly the same. The way it looks, the way it feels, the specific moments. Joel eventually finds Ellie out in the snow. She escapes from this burning building that's going on. Again, the central conflict between the preacher and Ellie takes place in a burning building in the game, and it happens so here. Everything goes to shit. We don't see anything of the remaining people left in this town. These poor people that probably don't realise just how far they've fallen, how far their leader has fallen. Whether we see anything of them in the future, I don't know. We'll have to see whether any changes are made, but certainly in terms of week-to-week changes, I think this show is probably, this episode is probably the least, the only one where by and large everything is exact. And there is a touching moment. Joel and Ellie do meet again outside in the snow. She's completely devastated. She's distraught. She just hacked a man to pieces after he's been trying to basically make her his fucking sex slave, horrifically enough. And there is that wonderful little moment of, consoling each other, and then they walk off into the snow together. a very strong episode. Definitely an uptick from the previous episode. Like I said in the last review, there was nothing wrong with the previous episode. It just didn't have any real forward momentum. It was a necessary episode, but not really one that really needed to be that long. Possibly, I don't know. It's difficult, but this episode is quite, forward progressing in terms of the character moments again. We are heading into the end game. Following this episode, we'll see a lot of what Ellie's thinking, her thought process, what she wants to do. A lot of that factors in from this event. And again, Joel's actions in the finale will stem a lot from what's happened in this event as well. So it is an interesting precursor to the end. But again, thinking ahead, I'm like, is one episode enough for what is going to be a jam-packed finale? This is what we'll have to see. For this episode, though, it's another wonderfully shot episode. The atmosphere, the cold. We're used to seeing the apocalypse in sort of like drying deserts. Oh, everything's fucking dried out and all this shit. And there's something quite terrifying to see the pure white of snow being the basis for the apocalypse. It's quite unnerving, the pureness of snow, and yet everything around it is so depraved and fucking gone to shit. It's wonderfully shot in that regard. Everything looks crisp and clear, and yet we don't see what's going on beneath the surface of these characters. So it is very well crafted episode, very intense episode, multiple levels emotionally, physically, mentally. You're thinking, who are these fucking freaks? What are they doing? What leads people to become like this? All these questions are posed, and yet it's up to the audience to answer them. It is a very, very good episode, and I think I am quite content to sit at a 9 out of 10 for this episode. Again, another fantastic performance by Bella Ramsey. Once Joel kicks into gear and wakes up, Pedro Pascal is there again, right up there, ramping up the intensity in his performance. Is brilliant. And even the performance from the preacher is really unnerving and, twisted in a weird sort of, I could see that happening kind of way. And then obviously you got the wonderful Troy Baker. He just, his voice. As soon as I heard his voice, I went, "Fucking hell, it's him." I didn't know what he looked like prior to this. I knew he was in it, but I didn't know what he looked like. But as soon as I heard his voice, I was like, "Nah, that's definitely him. That's definitely Joel." You can hear the little flex of Joel, which is a wonderful sort of nod. But yes, a 9 out of 10 for this. The cat has woken up. She is not pleased while she cleans herself. So I'm going to shut up rambling and leave that review there. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more reviews of this nature. The TV keeps going on to screensaver mode. But yes, thank you very much. No doubt you've probably heard the dog snoring as well. So yeah, thank you very much. Bye bye.